I'm not so sure that the way the world is now, what the Bible calls perilous times, is an improvement over the 1870s. My Christian heroes all come from that Victorian time period that wicked Loree McBride scorns as the Dark Ages. Loree is the Dark Ages. She's a murdering, spoiled brat in need of a serious spanking. Loree's had life handed to her on a silver platter, and when her leader, Zach Knight, came to Jesus, she wanted to maintain her spoiled brat privileges. So Satan moved on to her as his right-hand person because he found his kindred spirit. Satan's transferred the Antichrist powers that Zach Knight had onto Loree McBride. I led Zach to Jesus, and now Loree's mad because Zach has defected, which means the game is up for her, and she likes the game. Satan has moved on to a more favorable target, Loree McBride. Unfortunately, as long as Satan assists Loree, there's slim chance she'll get right with God, because unlike Zach, she loves nobody more than herself. Also, Satan feeds her pride. Loree feels that under Zach Knight, she was treated unfairly because Zach considered her a bit of a failure as a Jesuit, and she's out to prove that Zach is the failure, not her. Especially now that Zach has defected to Jesus. Oh, she's on a high for Satan. Satan has chosen her as his new right-hand person. She feels so important now. Folks, there's only one way to deal with this kind of person. We need to mete out the death penalty. Unfortunately, as long as Loree has a following, she can't be killed because she has Antichrist powers. When she loses her following, she's no longer the Antichrist, and she'll lose her Antichrist powers, which means we can then execute her. Right now, when we execute her, her head rolls off her neck and then lands right back onto her neck, and she laughs and laughs. She knows Satan has given her Antichrist powers, and she's drunk with her own power. I think she actually enjoys being executed because she can prove that she's like a god and can't be killed. We gotta execute her followers, the willing and knowing followers. They know they're evil, but they excuse it by redefining what's evil and what's good, so that those who are good are now evil and those who are evil are now considered good. This works with narcissists, who are unfortunately becoming a majority because Loree's murdering the good people in the world. I think her death count is in the billions. This woman's a war criminal and deserves the death penalty 1,000,000 times over. The news only reports the murders that Loree wants reported. Her murders go unreported. But those she's targeting and who she wants to frame with murders, those get reported. The news media is a joke, except for Gabriel Chana Fox News 00 on cable. The Antichrist cannot be killed until he fulfills his role in Bible prophecy. Not sure how this will all work out in the tribulation, but it appears the Antichrist for now is Loree McBride. I'm still trying to work this all out in the plot for my novel, because in my novel, Silver Skies, the Antichrist the villain, and we know the Antichrist is going to be a man. But we can take out her following, and this is what we need to do. This is war. If she wins, she'll rule like Adolf Hitler or Stalin. Though I know the world's headed for the tribulation, I'd like to delay it as much as possible. I know I'll be raptured before the Antichrist comes to power, as depicted in Daniel and Revelation. But while we Christians are still the salt of the earth, we need to be the salt. I'm a world leader, and it's my responsibility to take down this war criminal and her following. I was able to reach Zach because he loved Rule 13 more than himself. Satan opposes true love in Jesuits. True love gets in his way. Satan lies to the Jesuits and tells them there's no such thing as true love, that it's a Jesus Christ concocted fairy tale, and some of these dupes, like Loree, fall for Satan's lies. I guess when you're incapable of love, you think it doesn't exist. Loree fakes love to get a following, but once you join her organization, if you don't assist her to destroy true love, she'll kill you. This evil Satan worshiper preaches loudest about freedom, but is the strongest slave owner in the universe. When you join Loree's army, you surrender your soul to her. You're not allowed to think for yourself. You must be her cuck and obey her in everything. If not, she'll kill you. Satan opposes true love. It's his greatest problem. You might say nobody would want to be a slave. Well, this is where Loree's being sly. She tricks her followers into thinking they're not her slaves. She gives them money, bribes them, and appeals to their lust, selfishness, greed, and basically hands them life on a silver platter like she's used to. She lets them live evil lives filled with all sorts of sinful pleasures and pampers their sins and tells them it's not right, that they can't live out all their fantasies, death wishes, and desires, and that those who dare to tell them they need to practice some self-denial and, God forbid, work hard and earn a living through hard work are the sinners. God understands that we need to have vacations, but these folks think life should be one continual vacation with no self-denial, no sacrifice, and that riches, unbridled, and even violent sex and fame should come to them merely because they belong to high society and are the enlightened ones who need to lead those who believe you need to practice self-denial into an easier path. You see, to them, the world's problems lie with those who don't cater to spoiled brats. How dare anyone say that one must practice any form of self-denial? How Victorian, how evil. In other words, she attracts fellow spoiled brats. I should call it the Murdering Spoiled Brat League. The spoiled brats stick up for each other and kill off or destroy anyone who gets in their way. So while their life is like a snowball avalanche of sin, and their own selfishness makes them miserable because, frankly, selfishness does not make for happiness. When you have no true love in your life, you're a most miserable person. And who wants true love with a murdering, spoiled brat? Loree's furious at me because she thinks it's my fault that she can't get the real Brent Spiner to love her, even though she's tormented him from day one of their quote-unquote relationship. He refuses to be her cuck, which is her requirement for any man in a relationship with her. The Brent Spiner clone is her cuck, because he shares her spoiled brat vices and likes living high on the hog, even though, unlike the real Brent, he's actually made no sacrifices to attain his fame and celebrity status. He just stole it from the real Brent Spiner. But these short-sighted fools are in bad need of a spanking and have found a leader who pampers and encourages their sins and says that they're not sinners, that they're righteous, and all those who criticize them are the sinners. Unfortunately, happiness lies not in possessions, unbridled lust, sex, fame, or societal respect even, but they think it does. So they're stuck on this treadmill of misery and blame it on the sane, loving people that they don't feel good on their sin-laden, spoiled brat treadmill. Sin has a price, folks. God designed us that when we sin, we are miserable. Also, people who enjoy murdering those who get in their way can't find true love. Without true love, a human soul is miserable, and that's why they're her slaves. They are slaves to their own lusts and think they're miserable because of people who criticize them for being on the sin treadmill. Oh, this riles their thin skins. How dare anyone tell them the truth about themselves? To them, that is a sin worthy of death. Loree's trying to make this all about Donald Trump, but the real war is between me and Loree. Trump's not even really president. I'm the Empress and the true U.S. leader, but Trump won't be Loree's cuck. To Loree, that means he needs to go. Though she succeeded in intimidating him a lot, and he hasn't been perfect. Like her, he has a bit of an ego problem, but her ego is far worse than Trump's. Trump at least acknowledges that self-denial can be a good quality, even though he hasn't practiced it perfectly. And yes, it's true that Loree appears to be in charge of Israel, but the Bible's true, folks. Those Jews are gonna get saved after they go through hell on wheels in the tribulation. Hey, we're all sinners. I could forgive Loree in a second if she ever admitted she's a sinner and that she needs Jesus to save her from her sins. But unfortunately, with Satan egging her on and enabling her spoiled brat lifestyle, she truly believes that the universe belongs to her and that her superiority alone makes her worthy to rule how she damn pleases, probably exactly how she feels about it. Loree has an army of sociopathic slaves who don't mind being slaves because they're addicted to sin and want to excuse it rather than overcome it. When they pay the price for their sins, they just blame all the sane, loving people who tell them they need to practice some self-denial and discipline. You see, it's the fault of the sane, loving people that the insane people are miserable being insane, selfish, and narcissistic. Ironically, Loree accuses her enemies of what she is herself. Narcissists are masters at projection. She appeals to those who share her greed, her lust, and her pride by pampering their sins and excusing them. So needless to say, she doesn't attract those who practice self-denial, virtue, love, or patience. Loree and her followers are a group of people who want everything they want now and will throw a temper tantrum the likes of which we've never seen in history if you don't hand over your life, your freedom, your rights to free speech, and your right to defend yourself to them. You see, they feel they have the right to be a murdering, spoiled brat, and don't you dare get in their way. You might say, how'd you figure this all out? I'm an INFP. We are very perceptive. We spend our lives psychoanalyzing people.